Welcome everyone, and on behalf of Frontier View, thank you for joining our webinar series. On today's webcast, we'll be sharing our outlook on the EMEA region with you. My name is Zeynep Köserey-Solu, and I am the Middle East Africa Research Team Director at Frontier View, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Mark McNamee, who is our Director for the Europe Research Practice. We'll be jointly presenting to you today. And before we get started, we realize that some of you may be new to Frontier View, so I would like to take a minute to provide you with a quick overview of our firm and how we support multinational executives. Frontier View provides world-leading market intelligence and advisory services for global business professionals. We help our clients grow and win in their most important markets by informing and empowering their market monitoring, planning, execution, and other critical decision processes. With continuous research and insights, custom solutions, and transaction support services, we provide our clients, a small sample of which you can see here, with timely and actionable insights to adopt and win in changing markets. And if you're not a client and are interested in receiving a 60-day complimentary access to our Frontier View program, please leave a comment in the chat box or email us at info@frontierview.com. You can also scan this code that you see on your screens. And as part of our offering, we're excited to announce that we have recently launched a new mobile app, Frontier View Mobile, which is available on both iOS and Android. It includes all the relevant content you need to monitor markets, including this webinar recording and presentation deck. We encourage you to download the app in order to have access to these insights and more at your fingertips. Current clients can access the mobile app using the same login information as our browser application. And if you're not a client, you can still download the app and start monitoring up to 5 complementary countries and access other features like our daily news and notifications. Having briefly introduced our company, I would like to remind you that you are again welcome to submit questions by clicking on the Q&A box on the GoToWebinar application on the right-hand side of your screen and by typing them to Frontier View Webinars. If there are any insights you see today as part of this discussion or any questions we don't get to answer, our client services team will be happy to follow up with you directly. And with that, in the next hour, we'll be sharing with you firstly a quick recap of our global outlook, giving you some more details on the Western Europe current situation and the outlook that we have for that, and then going a bit deeper into the outlook for emerging EMEA, looking at the various components of the economies. And let's get started with our outlook just at the very high global level. And you can see here that in 2021, the world economy is returning to growth. The US and Chinese economies will outperform that global average that you see here, with a controlled coronavirus in China and, of course, a fast vaccination program and large stimulus in the US. Western Europe and Latin America will begin their recovery slowly after major contractions last year, while the CEE will showcase a relatively faster uptick in growth from a comparatively milder contraction in 2020 as well. The MENA region you see here will include a very diverse set of countries with, UAE and Israel showing the fastest return to normalization even in the world, while on the other hand, we have political risks weighing on Lebanon, Iraq, Algeria, Iran. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have the larger markets like South Africa struggling, but some room for growth in the smaller, less exposed markets. And of course, the first driver of this growth of global economic performance is the country's approach to COVID and their vaccination program. But of course, vaccines matter at different levels as signposts for economic opening up. And we are categorizing countries into 3 buckets in terms of their vaccination strategy. First, countries that are targeting the virus through some level of restrictions and hoping to accelerate vaccination programs and gradually lift those restrictions. Then we have countries that are not prioritizing the vaccine rollouts immediately, but have very strict border controls and are actually aiming to eliminate the virus. And lastly, there are countries that are actually what we would call tolerating the virus by keeping restriction levels relatively low and are implementing a slow vaccination program. You can see here in this slide coming up that where different countries land in that strategy. Most are in the world are pursuing a virus reduction strategy, but some in sub-Saharan Africa, Egypt, Russia, we would put in the virus tolerance category, and China, Australia, for example, are in the virus elimination category. And this, as I mentioned before, categorization is important while you determine which signposts to watch for as you look at economic opening up across your markets, but also in evaluating the outlook for international travel as well. And a quick update, when we look at the global vaccination programs, we definitely see them accelerating with the US, UAE, the UK, Israel, Bahrain leading the world. And among emerging economies, we have Morocco, Turkey, Poland, and Saudi Arabia as a relatively fast implementing countries on track with their program. But actually more important than maybe the static chart here is this following chart, where we are finally seeing a pretty rapid rise in vaccinations in major European countries after a relatively slow start. And Mark will very soon be sharing the implications of this with you on the Western Europe region. And you can see that quite strong uptake on the Western European countries here.